Welcome to Sip That Coffee, where casual conversations flow and real talk happens. We keep it real, diving into authenticity, growth, and all the unpredictable moments life throws our way. Whether you're here for thought-provoking chats, a little encouragement, or just some good company, grab your coffee or whatever it is that keeps you going, and let's get into it. If you don't have a cup of coffee, you probably should get one because you might need the caffeine to keep up.
What is that on your coffee mug? Let's talk about it.
It's a spider with a heart.
What? That is too cute. I love spiders. I have Mario on my cup, Luigi,
Aw,
and Yoshi.
Yoshi.
I feel like I'm powered up whenever I drink out of this cup.
I like spiders too. Actually, I have a spider as part of my tattoo. And
nice.
anyway, so that came about. There's a story behind it. And my best friend and I were on the phone one evening. She lives like an hour and a half from me. And we were just having a conversation. And then all of a sudden, we're like, both of us basically. Both of us had a tiny little itty bitty spider crawling on us at the same time in two different locations. So we were talking about something very specific at that point. And I'm like,
synchronization.
So I'm like, that something struck me with that. So a spider got added to my.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
well,
I thought it was
just
just
died because of a spider one time. It didn't bite me, but it caused the person driving to flip the vehicle.
My phone was almost killed by one because I was riding in the car with the window down. On my phone, one crawled across it and I threw my phone out the window.
Oh my God.
So
that's not good.
The person that was driving, I had to make them stop and go. We had to go back to get it because I yeeted it out.
You yeeted your phone out the window.
I yeeted my phone out. And of all the it was just an instant reaction.
Okay, I have a good bugs insect story. So I was driving about 20 miles away from my home on this straight stretch of road that's normally kind of a dangerous road, and I had my windows rolled down. I'm blasting to some System of a Down because it's 2002, okay, and I was all about some System of a Down in that stage of my life. And then I looked down and my arch nemesis, the red wasp, is on my freaking leg.
Oh no.
Not biting me, just crawling around. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to die in panic. You're going to panic and die. And I'm driving and I'm like, oh God, you're going to panic and die. And I'm like, pull over. I'm thinking, pull over calmly. And I actually managed to not die and pull over and knock him, get him off my leg. And he didn't sting me. God, that was a victory.
I would say so.
Always sting me for some reason. So
I've stepped on a yellow jacket, but I've never had take that back. I did have one wasp decide to go at the back of my neck and sting me, but
it's not a good feeling. My legs are so dangly too. It's they look scary.
They do, and we have them crazy here in Florida too.
But I despise them.
You did better than I did, because if a bug gets it near me, or if I even feel like there's a bug in my shirt,
yes,
I'm stripping, which becomes a problem depending on where I'm at. But,
my God, yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, I inherited that from a family member who does the same thing. If it even feels like there's a bug, you're stripping your clothes off. When you live in the South long enough, you're always worried about something either being in your shoes or in your, shirt.
There's all kinds of insects. If you're in the South, they're coming at you at all the angles at every minute, and they're sticking to your sweat.
I was going to say something else about bugs, and I got to remember what it was.
Oh God, bugs. There's I feel like I have so many stories based on bugs for some reason. We could talk about bugs the entire segment. This is 30 minutes of bugs, everybody.
Well, let's just add a little bit to it. So the worst for me, okay, let's see. One time I accidentally ate a fly because it was in some chicken and rice that my mom made. And I still cannot stand chicken and rice because of that.
Oh my God.
I have swallowed a bug more than I care to admit, because I'll be talking and one decides to just dive into the cave.
All bug stories are horror stories.
And then just the other day, I was sitting and minding my own business on the couch, and all of a sudden a dumb little gnat flew up my nose.
Oh God. They're trying to attack you.
And then it started burning, so then I had to, of course, blow my nose because it was stuck in my nose.
Well, I was out on my back porch, actually the steps of my back porch, and I was having a glass of wine one evening, and I'm watching my son play in the backyard with my husband, and I was like, I picked up the glass to take a drink, and there was a literal like palmetto bug in my glass, and I brought
Ew.
it close to my mouth, and I hurled that glass so far. Like, I'm telling you, all I have are bug horror stories. Like, there's no good bug stories.
Well,
Or
you
there any
telling
good
that
bug
made
stories.
me remember one that I another a drink incident
Oh,
too. I had I took a swig of a can of something. I think it was Coke, and apparently there was a bee in there, and the bee decided it went into my mouth when I took the drink, which I felt it and was able
oh,
to
did
spit
it
it out.
sting you?
No, because I
No, oh
felt it soon
God,
enough to spit it out.
that's actually probably one of my worst nightmares made manifest. That whole scenario. It's like a bee in your mouth. Like a bee scares the crap. Like I try to be at peace with them because I know they're doing like their bee business, and I know that they are on like this bee mission from God. And they're like, if it's a honeybee, it's like I have my whole life to make a half a teaspoon of honey. And I get that. It's so much respect. But I got stung by a bee in California while I'm at this little stand, this little hot dog stand. I'm ordering a hot dog, and there's a little child behind me. And I started cussing like crazy. And there's this little kid. I was like, holy bleep, everything, everything. And my finger swelled up like a Mickey Mouse finger. I kid you not. And after that, I was like, I love you, honeybee, but you have to stay way, way over there. That's my final bee story. That's not the only one I have by far. But so many bug and bee stories. If you live in the South, you already have all your own bee stories, so don't be judging us out there. We got our bee stories, okay?
Exactly, and I can only imagine if any of the listeners, if you decide to share some of your bug stories with us, go ahead. We might
Please
actually talk
do.
about them later because this
I
is
can
funny.
talk and listen to bee stories all day. So please tell us your bee stories.
Yeah, bees, bugs, spiders. I mean, you live in the South. I'm sure you might have some roach stories.
Yes,
Unfortunately,
so many
especially if you
stories.
live near the water, they are worse. That's a whole nother bug. But
Speaking of bugs, what happened to you remember the giant like Asian like killer bees or something? I can't remember what they were called, but they were like this big and everybody was afraid of them for was it 2020 when that came out when they were like, "Oh my
yeah,
God, it's diseases and giant bees." And then like nothing happened. That was one of those like
that
scary
was
things
one
to
of those
read.
stories
That was one of those
that gets
stories.
spread on social media that is not accurate, and
It's
that
crazy.
bugs me. Yeah, it's
Listen.
it's
It's another one of those. Bees are coming for you in your sleep. Don't doubt it. Like the bees are coming.
yeah,
That's how they were reporting it. Like you're gonna walk out of your door and that bee is gonna be literally waiting for you and you're gonna die.
yeah, and it's gonna be about 3 feet long with
Yeah, it's with a
10 feet
helmet on
wings.
and like an AK, like ready, ready for action.
Be careful
The
saying
bees
that
are
because
coming.
we might get kicked off and censored because of using that term. Oh man. But
Yes,
yeah, I mean
Lord.
that's the crazy thing though about,
That's the crazy thing about bees.
well,
that's
yeah, but
that's the
social
title of
media.
this. The crazy thing about bees.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at bees.
Just bees.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, people will get caught up in all of the things that might happen,
It
and
might happen. You
they
might be scared that bee might sting you, but it might not. But it might not sting you. It might just go home and make honey. So
yep,
you just gotta have faith that the bee knows what he's doing.
it has a future. So focus on yours.
I know there's people out there going, this is an allegory for something. I know this is an allegory. This is a secret message. It's not. It's just about
Conspiracy. We can start any
conspiracy.
rumor we want to start and see what happens. We
We
get
are full of conspiracies.
Yes, we can get all kinds of things started up and everybody in an uproar just to see what happens.
Yes, I did the Illuminati eye. Oh Lord, it's happening.
Right. That you see, you did that, and now it reminds me of a story of a good friend of mine that is on social media. He's got a huge following, and he did a picture. Excuse me.
You're
Of
fine.
there's it's a way that you put your hand is similar to that symbol, but you put it down low to make a person look. It's the this, and
Oh, the made you look hand.
yeah, he did that, and you would never believe the number of comments that he got going, "Don't you know what that
That's
is?
that's the sign for six six
I'm
six.
unfollowing you now because you." And we were laughing about it, like, okay, like
That's hilarious.
whatever. But that's the type of thing, like, people will take something and just like
They do.
go way over here with it.
When I
It's
was in my
unbelievable.
band, I actually I did the little photo thing, and I did the one eye thing because I feel like all like so many of the artists do it. They're like, let's freak them out,
Yeah,
let's do their one eye, let's do this or whatever.
right.
I
And
feel
I
like
mean,
they're just trolling us all.
right. And I mean, there may be some people that are legitimately involved in the
Well, there
crazy
is a
stuff. But
community, right? There is a group of people that is called like the Illuminati, right? There is.
I mean,
Isn't
that's
that
what we're told.
facts? That's what we're told. I mean, sounds like a pretty banging group. They haven't offered me to join, but so, so far, so I'm offended.
Well, this podcast might act. You might start getting some
That's it.
invitations
Oh
happening,
yeah, yes. Hold on a second. I think I just got a text message. JK.
or you'll be getting like hate mail from the people that think you're serious.
Yes, it probably would go that way. No, no
Probably.
message from the Illuminati. Too bad.
Like, and anybody listening to us out there in this, sound wave world, um,
Soundwave world.
don't take us so serious. Like, you'll find out that we
Please.
will
I'm
ramble
probably
on
never serious, so
about the craziest things. So if you think we're serious about it, you just don't listen, because we ain't got time for you to be messaging us acting, oh my goodness, I can't believe you said that. Like, how dare you? Because any topic's going to come up on this podcast. And
any and all topics.
yes, and it may not even be
Yes.
topics that we necessarily agree with. We still just might talk about it. You said the other day that we even disagree with ourselves sometimes.
We do, yes, that's so true. Like I will literally have a whole opinion and then I'm like, but oh my God, now I'm seeing it this way and I just totally
Yeah.
disagree with myself.
Mm-hmm. I can do that within a matter of 15 minutes or less.
Yes. Yes. A second. You're like, and no, I don't believe that at all. What did I
Right.
just say?
And I think some of that has to do with old thoughts trying to make their way back in.
It is because like you have to break who you were. Like me as a child, like I kind of was very fearful and I was very like careful of what I said and I was really superstitious really. I was
Mhm.
kind of taught a lot of superstition in a way. And it wasn't really called superstition, but it actually is. So I did
True.
like develop I like for a while I even had an OCD like when I would mash buttons on my microwave it would be like 111. I would never put stuff on for like a minute. It would be like 55 seconds and like stuff like that. Like it'd have to be like double and triple numbers. I don't really do that anymore because I just like I don't I don't I don't know. I've kind of like healed myself in all those places of where I was superstitious about things that could become an OCD, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
even there was like at one point in time, this is like years ago, where I vacuumed my floor in an opposite way that I normally did. And then a tragedy happened that day. And I was like, I attributed that to me vacuuming the floor in the opposite way that I normally did. And I would be like, I can't do that anymore. And I would always like vacuum the floor in a specific pattern. And if nowadays, if I ever catch myself thinking those thoughts, because they're kind of intrusive thoughts, like I would be like, nope, now you're gonna vacuum the floor backwards and nothing's gonna happen. And I would literally
Mm-hmm.
make myself do whatever, like you're afraid of that, where you're not gonna do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like you find there's ways that you can like heal from like weird things like that. I kind of trailed off from where we were starting from, but I think you get what I'm saying. So,
No, no,
yeah,
that makes sense, and it's about reprogramming. It's about
yeah,
reprogramming your mind, because I
totally.
I had to go through the same thing. Like, after my after well, actually, it started before my divorce, because I struggled a lot with like binge eating and overeating and that sort of thing, and I realized my mind was on a program, my thoughts were on a program. I didn't really grasp it at that point, but there again, everybody talks about 2020 ushering in all these things. 2020 ushered in my path of healing,
Yeah,
and that journey, and I did a lot of mental reprogramming,
yeah,
and it's painful. So like when you've been used to doing things and thinking things a certain way, or even seeing yourself in a certain way,
yeah,
painful to just start reprogramming that, and those deep roots being, dug up and out and replacing it with better things. But
right.
I agree, there's always a way to do it. And one of the ways that I have even continued now, and I have to remind myself all the time, is live, like embrace and live in the right now, in the
In the
moment,
moment. Yeah, me too.
rather than focusing on the
Yeah,
past and the things you've been through, or trying to
correct.
figure the future out. If you stay in your space now and
Yeah,
reground now, like you can find yourself caught up in both past or future,
yeah.
but find what works for you to ground yourself in the right now. And if you do that over and over and continue to do that, then you can walk through anything. I'm not a professional, but that's my experience, and I have to practice that.
I totally agree. I think that 2020 was like almost a global universal year of change for everybody in the strangest of ways. That's the year
Mhm.
that I like separated from my band, which was a huge that was a huge blow to me. But I was the one that walked away. Like I wasn't kicked out or anything. I just kept like getting this message that there's like new things, like a new venture for me. Like I felt that in my spirit, I guess you would
Yeah.
say. So like I had to like separate myself from that. And it was almost like a sacrifice, really. Like a spiritual sacrifice.
Right.
Hypothetical people. We're not sacrificing people over here. It was like a sacrifice. And everything changed and I ended up like pregnant with my kid, and there's no way I would have been like, well, I want to go on the road, because that was more a realistic goal. Like it would have happened. Like we had already gotten like 3 record label offers. 2020 was like a year of like healing for so many people. It's the year that I realized all that I actually needed to heal from, that I didn't realize that was like wrong with me, and like these childhood beliefs that I had kept inside of me for so long. And it was a lot of it was really religious based, and I don't want to bash any religion, but it was really things that like some people overlooked it and just thought I was being like over dramatic, but it was very real to me that like I experienced a lot of religious pain from feeling like things were always a certain way, and then going, oh my god, like I kept like I wanted like God to show me, personally, what I needed to do. And it was just so different from what I had always grown up to believe it was. You know what I mean? I don't want to say that I was like brainwashed, but there's a certain like sect that believes certain things, and those certain things aren't accurate, and that's just the facts. And my path is that I follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, who's to me peaceful and a benevolent soul, full of peace, the embodiment of love, whose only commandment through it all was love each other as I've loved you. And because of that, I just said, that's the golden rule. Love each other, have love for each other, and you're going to naturally love yourself, and you're not going to tolerate like abuses towards yourself either, and that's love. That's also
Right.
love, saying, hey, I can't tolerate this abuse from you because I love myself, but I care for you, and maybe I'm not healthy for you. And this is all relationships in life. It's not just like romantic relationships. It's like every relationship. You gotta know your boundaries, and you gotta love yourself. And that's just the principle for me. My whole basis of belief is based on like love and kindness. And if yours isn't, I don't want no part of it. So
And
that's
guess
just how
what?
it
I will agree with you there,
is.
because
Yes.
the first podcast I mentioned that about people not having kindness, and I'm like, I don't care which side of the road you stand on, if you don't come with in your approach with kindness, I
Yeah.
don't want anything to do with it. And I can be brash sometimes, but I always try to. That's something I'm working on in myself as well. Over these, like we were talking about everything, we had similar paths start in 2020, obviously, because I've
Yes.
had a lot of the same thing, a lot of
Yeah.
things I had to relearn. It's almost as if it almost breaks your foundation at first.
It does. And it makes you feel like you're almost like losing it in a way. And
Yeah,
like, but you're actually coming together, and
right.
it almost breaks your heart. You're like, oh my God, I feel like a lot of what I thought was just not true, and it changes your whole reality. Like it's
Does.
very jarring to your entire life. And I feel like that's been kind of overlooked for me, like how upsetting it was to go, oh man, I feel like a lot of what I went through was really legit trauma. And it's like a lot of it I don't want to talk about because I don't want to like upset anybody. And so I'm not going to talk about it, but my trauma is real. It's very real.
Right.
Like what do you do to like cope with it, and to, you know what, like
Right.
turn all of this, the lemons into lemonade, so to speak? What is it that you do?
The biggest thing that I do is, number one, and this is going to sound religious, but it's not. I do take the time to consult with God.
Absolutely, you have to
He
make that
has to. He
connection.
still has to be first.
Yeah.
That's not a religious thing. That's the relationship thing. Just like you're in a relationship with a spouse.
Yeah.
And when you're in
Communicate.
that, you're not
Right.
going to go out and just go randomly do something that could potentially cause harm without, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have a discussion with that person. You're going to spend time with that person. You're going to be in communication with that person, because when the communication dies, relationship dies.
Right.
I have learned in my relationship with God, first and foremost, I have to do and be who He called me to be.
Right.
What
Yeah.
anybody else is doing is none of my business. Their journey is between them and God, just like mine.
It's
Blinders.
always personal. Personal.
And it's kind of like putting blinders on. Even this podcast, and this podcast could potentially start opening up some controversy within my personal life by doing this. But
Yeah.
I know that I am moving in a direction that I'm supposed to move, and it's the consequences that I have to deal with, because I have to be
So I think
on my path.
a good example would be like there's so many aspects to like to the puzzle that God has put us all into, right? Like each piece, like where we belong. Like, you know, I think that we all have different callings. And I feel like just my calling is not to people that are already going to church. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like what can I do for those people? I'm not going to do anything for those people. Like they're there, they're already there. And I enjoy going to church sometimes. When I feel like I want to go, I'll go. But and I enjoy it when I go. But I just don't feel like if I don't go that I'm lost and everything's over.
Right.
I still feel like I'm fine, and that I have like the connection with God that I need.
That all comes down to those of us that have the ability to walk this life to serve others, because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we need to choose. And I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot of lack in that in the world in general today. Everybody's out to serve themselves,
Yeah.
and that's
They
the
are,
problem.
yeah. That's
Now
so true.
I'm not even talking about just, Christian people over here. This is the world is
The world.
self-absorbed,
Yeah.
and so many people just want to do for themselves. And I'm not saying don't do for yourself, because obviously we have to survive. We're going to keep
Yeah.
moving forward and growing. But if you're doing that and sacrificing other people on the way and not stopping to think about who you can help
Yeah.
along the way, then you're failing. That's
And
just,
you know what? I'm
yeah.
sure that you
So
see the other part of that too, because you said like we always disagree with each other. Like I get that people are like, well, I'm working really hard for this, and I want that's like kind of leads back to the way I felt was like, I'm working hard for this. This is mine, and I want to see myself succeed. And but the thing is, like, honestly, I want to succeed so I can help other people, because
Yes.
I feel like, that, like, it's just it's just more rewarding if you can give to people. And I would love to have enough money that I can just be like, there's a family over there, let me just buy them like $300 in groceries. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be great? Like, that would be great.
That's how I feel
So,
about it
hey
too. And I
Lord, if
every
you want to give me like enough money to give people $300.
and you did that, and I was literally getting ready to say that's how I pray. Like, Lord, you
Yeah.
gave me the heart, a giving heart. You gave me a servant's heart. Now give me the means to do so. Like,
Yeah, totally.
money's not the most important, but I need money in order to move forward, to do the things that you're
Yeah.
asking me to do. I'll do
Yeah.
what I can with what I have. All Some people have wicked hearts and get money in wicked ways, and that money
Yeah.
will not sometimes never make it to good, but sometimes it does. And people like to say the thing, oh well, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. It's the
Yeah.
love of money, and there again
The
goes back
love
to
of money. You're missing a whole point in that whole scripture. Like, it's the
your
love.
heart, and your motivation
Yeah,
as to why you're doing things plays a big role in that.
totally.
And
I really don't see money as money. I always see it as like opportunity. Like, if you can have more money, you have more opportunity. Like, it
right,
to me, it just seems like it's not important, but it's necessary to not even a degree as what we think it is. Like, we can get by with very little. Like, honestly, people can get by with very little, but you can do more to help people if you have more, and it's just easier if you have more. So if you love money, it becomes, or like, if you're idle, like, if, let's say,
yeah,
like, you're obsessed with money, there's people that would literally for money. You know what I
right,
mean? So you have that, and then you have people that just see it as like opportunity and
right,
ease. So
right.
yeah.
And if you're deserting your family to go make the money, and I'm
Yeah.
not talking about people who don't have a choice and they have to go work a
Sure.
particular job to make money for their family. That is
Right.
not what I mean. So
Yeah.
I'm going to correct myself before I get accused of saying something I didn't say. I am
Mhm.
talking about people who will literally walk away from their family for a paycheck or for this big
Yeah.
opportunity and don't care the impact that they're having on if they have
Right.
children or their
Exactly.
spouse. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Or, there's all kinds of aspects of that you could look at. And that's the thing. There's like all these little things, and we're gonna say bug again because we're about needing to end this particular
Yeah.
episode. So, like, those things bug me. It's the idea of a person's motivation behind anything that they do, and that ties everything in that we just talked about. As
Yeah.
where's their heart? Where's your heart? Most of
Right.
all,
Yeah.
are you giving in to the things that aren't kind to other people, that aren't giving to other people, that is judging other people, that's you're only out for yourself. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't care. Well, what about all these other people? They don't understand. We're over here on this side, and this is all of this. This argument's going on in the world really bad right now, and I get tired of seeing it. Focus on your life, you as an individual. And this is probably going to get me some flack about what I'm going to say, but I don't believe that we have the capability on a large scale to try to eradicate the things that we know are evil.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't need Jesus. Instead, turning that focus on how we can treat other human beings. And I can't change the world as much as I want to,
Yeah.
but I know that I can change what's within me to make
Yeah.
a better world. And I think that's what
Like,
everybody needs to be doing.
yep, focus on yourself and do what you can do inside of your realm of possibilities.
Yep,
So, yeah,
exactly.
just be a good person. I don't care what your religion is. Just
Right.
be a good person.
The bottom
Yes.
line is in the way that we personally walk, and being obedient to loving others and loving God.
Yeah.
So, and you have to figure that out as an individual.
Totally.
Okay, well, that was a long episode.
Yes, it was. But
So,
hey, we haven't talked about bugs again. Let's finish it on a nice bug story. I'm just kidding. I've got one more bug story up my sleeve. I probably got like 10 more bug stories up my sleeve.
We might have to just do a
Oh my
whole
God, there's
episode
bugs
on
up my
that.
sleeve. Just kidding.
So, as a listener, if you have listened to this entire thing, I'm still not going to apologize. You hung in, you heard a few things, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Sip by Coffee. If you made it this far, congrats. You have an impressive attention span. If something resonated with you, let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep growing, keep being real, and try not to cause too much chaos. Or at least make it entertaining.